Welcome to Three Count Commentaries. We're talking about NXT from December the 6th, 2022. All right, so as we move into news and notes first, before we get into the show, the go-home show for NXT Deadline, the last premium live event of the WWE calendar year, it's going to be pretty interesting. So, hey, it ought to be fun, right? So Road Dogg had a interview where he did his show where he talked about whether NXT was considered a third brand or whether NXT was considered a developmental brand. And he had his own personal spin on it, but I'm not going to read the article because it's actually pretty short and sweet. Triple H saw it as a third brand because in his view, NXT was a third revenue generating brand. Therefore, it was a third brand. While Vince looked at the money that NXT generated and said it was kind of small and still considered it quote unquote small ball or minor league. Therefore, it was still developmental. While Road Dogg, who was working on the brand, felt a little bit disrespected because it kept being called developmental, but didn't have a problem with it as long as they were losing the the Wednesday Night War to AEW. Then it was just convenient that he enjoyed it being called a third brand. He didn't have a problem with that. So it's about what everybody expected. Everybody except Vince thinks that it was a a third brand. Vince was like, it's developmental. Ergo, it was developmental because, the emperor of all wrestling said it's developmental. So that's what it is. Okay, so that was it. But some interesting things took place tonight. Kaylee Ray and Casey Navarro, two indie wrestlers, were at the Performance Center for tryouts. If you've been a fan of this channel for a long time, you've probably remember when I used to do indie wrestling do reviews for indie wrestling. And I've talked extensively about Casey Navarro. I remember the first time I saw him, I believe it was an MLW, I think. Was it MLW? It might have been, or was it Impact or something? But it was Impact because I said that Impact should have signed him. He's a smaller guy. He's real small. He reminds me a lot of Rey Mysterio. Impact definitely should have snatched him up over a year ago when I think I was doing a video on that. Or I maybe mentioned it offhand. So hopefully he gets an opportunity. From what I remember of him, he was fairly charismatic. He could talk. Again, he was a little on the small side, but he had most of the other tools that was necessary, and he's a new face, I'm pretty sure, with their revamping of NXT. Now interjecting a couple of more indie wrestlers might actually help quite a bit. Now, Kylie Ray, for those of you who don't know, is the young lady that Cody Rhodes said was better than Bayley back when AEW started, and then she didn't finish the year. So she quit AEW for undisclosed reasons that was kept under wraps. Then she jumped ship to Impact. Then she quit Impact for mental health problems. Then she went to NWA and she quit NWA for mental health problems. Then she went to Warrior Wrestling and she had to back out of Warrior Wrestling dates for mental health problems. And this whole thing, and I hate to be mean. You know what? We're not mean on this channel. We make jokes, but we're not mean. We're not mean guys over here. If you thought we were mean, we're not. We're nice. We're compassionate, empathetic people at Three Count Commentaries, both me and the listeners. We all understand that people have difficult times. And we understand that people go through things. But 5 or 6 times you quit wrestling promotions, national wrestling promotions, twice. And then you even quitting local wrestling promotions. Maybe you're just not cut out for this wrestling thing. I know that some people don't want to hear that, but it's true. Maybe you're just not cut out for it. Good luck to her, but she's about to face all of the slack. If she couldn't really handle Warrior Wrestling or Impact or NWA, how the hell is she going to be able to handle a WWE locker room? That's what I want to know. It's going to be big problems. Big problems. But hey, Triple H is probably going to be willing to gamble on her because that's what he does. And maybe, who knows, maybe she got it together finally after, I guess, what would this be, 3 years, 4 years of quitting every contract she's ever signed? And she's now going to honor a WWE contract. It's like, oh, my mental health, except for when these commas are there, then the commas line up. It's good now. But we'll see when she actually, whether she's actually offered a contract or not. But I'm guessing she probably will be. Cody was able to compare her to Bayley, with early Bayley, because how similar the characters are. And she actually is pretty good with that. She kind of worked heel, I think, in NWA, but she's Smiley Kylie. I think that'll probably work out a little bit. It'll be a second chance at Bayley, as people have been reportedly crowing about. It's a second chance at them to do something right with Bayley. It's like, yeah, right. She's going to be okay, I guess. So we'll see. All right. On top of that, Vincent and Dutch were sitting in the crowd. Vincent and Dutch, two guys from Ring of Honor. Vincent was he's a top guy in Ring of Honor near the end. Well, I guess, is it fair to say he was a top guy? He was never a world champion or anything, but he did main event at some pay-per-views and was involved with some of their cinematic matches. And Dutch was a guy WWE had under developmental contract before, but he was released. I'm pretty sure it was 2 or 3 years ago when he was released. So they were sitting in the crowd, and they weren't acknowledged at all, but it was reminiscent a little bit of the old way NXT used to do things, where they have new guys coming in, sitting in the crowd. And then it was well known that it was two guys, they were sitting in the crowd, because I guess they leaked it to dirt sheets, because they were sitting in the back. They weren't sitting in the front along where the camera could catch them. They were sitting in the back where the camera had to look for them. All right. So Vincent and Dutch apparently going to be coming in. I'm a big fan of Vincent. Dutch, he's okay. He basically just a big guy who does big guy stuff. But I guess as a pairing, they could be interesting, So there's a lot to happen on NXT in terms of the new year and them signing new talent and bringing in new talent. There's just a lot of stuff going on. So it ought to be interesting to see what NXT looks like this time next year, who's still around and who's coming in and who's going and whatever. Apparently, to the dirt sheets, WWE is looking a lot better in terms of their recruitment, with Triple H being there, because Triple H signs everybody and thinks everybody is good or whatever, willing to give everybody a shot. While Vince was a little bit more choosy, I could definitely tell that somebody bringing in somebody like Kylie Ray or Casey Navarro, even though the tryouts are open. But I can tell you right now, if Vince was in control, neither one of them would have a shot. Casey Navarro would be too small, and Kylie Ray, would be a liability. But under the Triple H regime, who knows? Another person that has been talked about, I think Dave Meltzer came out and said that Colby Corino, who was under contract to NWA, recently is looking to jump to NXT. His dad is a trainer. His dad is Steve Corino, former ECW champion. Steve Corino, I was never a big fan of Steve Corino. Not a big fan of Colby Corino either. Another undersized guy who's just decent wrestler. He probably would have been a better manager, but I don't know, man. It's hard to tell, but again, that's Meltzer, so take it with a grain of salt. It might not even be all that true. All right, so let's finally get into NXT. So we do the wild card thing, where we had the wild card match for the deadline performers. Andre Chase, Axiom, and Von Wagner start to show off pretty goddamn hot. This match was better than I thought it would be. Axiom wins, which surprised the hell out of me, because Andre Chase is super over. And I hate to say that because it's Harlem Bravado, and I do not like this guy. But he's worked very hard at getting this character over. And this character is just fire right now. Von Wagner took the pin, which surprised the hell out of me. That just shocked me. But, Von Wagner sucks and all, but he's the biggest guy in this match. It would have been the biggest guy in the whole entire situation, but Hey, no big guys. No big guys allowed. So, before the match, Duke Hudson was cutting a promo on Andre Chase, talking about how he needs to believe in himself the way everybody else believes in him, the way that Thea believes in him, the way that he believes in him, the way that the entirety of Jace University believes in him. And then he went out there and lost. It was very embarrassing. Andre Chase hit a flying frog splash. It bounced off of Von Wagner and rolled out of the ring. It was the silliest finish in the world, which led to Axiom utilizing a running kick. And it was all dumb. Look, I don't know why Axiom was in this match. But then again, as far as I'm concerned, there was no good option. You know, I'm not a fan of any of these guys. I guess I'm least a fan of Andre Chase. I don't know. Maybe Von Wagner is probably my least favorite, because at least I can say Andre Chase is entertaining. Andre Chase wasn't done, however, as he had a bit of a run-in with Duke Hudson. Duke did not want Thea Hale to fight Isla Dawn. He didn't think she was ready for this, but Andre Chase gave her the blessing. And Duke was questioning Andre Chase and got himself cussed out. So they're continuing this Andre Chase Duke Hudson thing. Fine. Thea Hale lost to Isla Dawn, by the way. She got crushed, but whatever. But Axiom also was not done, and neither was Von Wagner. Von Wagner got involved with a tag team match later in the night. The tag team match in question was Briggs and Jensen versus Idris Enofe and Malik Blade. This match was set up weirdly by Sol Ruka, you know, the loser ass dancing, what is she, a surfer chick? The beach bum. She was TikTok dancing while Malik Blade and Idris Enofe was arguing behind her. I don't know why. I don't understand. In any event, they agreed to have a match against each other. So they had the match. Briggs Jensen and Idris Enofe. Well, Briggs Jensen won the match. Kiana James ended up slipping a note into the pocket of Brooks Jensen. But during the match, Von Wagner attacked Odyssey Jones. So I guess this match is about to happen. Okay, sure, whatever you say. I don't know, man. NXT is just, this is pretty, it's not random. It's not like super random. Like there's some history between these two guys, but we didn't need this match. It's two babyface teams. Nobody's turning heel. If you wanted to do something where Kiana James was going to try to seduce Brooks Jensen, you could have did it in a different way. Now, the reason why she, of course, is trying to seduce Brooks Jensen is because she's in a feud with Fallon Henley. But let's talk about that, by the way, because Kiana James, Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade, and Zoe Stark, they all had vignettes for their deadline match, the Iron Survivor Challenge. Not many of them had anything different other than explaining that they're going to win for this reason. Roxanne Perez actually broke character, which is very interesting. It was quite cringe. It was so cringe. I need to stop and talk about it because the rest of them was pretty generic. I'm going to win. I need to overcome stuff. Roxanne Perez, on the other hand, immediately went into the my dream stuff. And then she starts talking about, you know, now she's done dreaming. It's time for her to go out into reality. She was screwed in her last match versus Mandy Rose, but she's learned a lot since then. And the only person who can stop her from winning is the person she's looking at. And when the cameras panned back, she was looking in the mirror. And I put my head in my hands. I say, man, this girl, she is incredibly talented, but for fuck's sake, can she get a character? My God, what do we have to do? Maybe she needs to get hit in the face with some pies. Is that what we got to do? We got to have Charlotte pop up in NXT and start blasting people in the face with pies? Like, you have no gimmick. Pie to the fucking face. That's your gimmick. We're just going to hit you in the face with a pie every fucking week until you dress up like a clown, wear a furry costume, put some makeup on or something, for Christ's sake. She's so bland. It is embarrassingly bland. How, you know, it's something else. It's not good. It ain't good. Whew. All right, I forgot where I was going with this. Oh yeah, so the women's wild card match. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, the women's wild card match. Indy Hartwell, Wendy Chu, and Fallon Henley. So Fallon Henley finds out that Brooks Jensen has this damn invitation from Kiana James in his pocket. And since they've been telling this year-long story of Fallon Henley and Brooks Jensen trying to find each other, the love right up under your nose situation, she was a little bit distracted by this whole thing and, this invitation, even though she wanted him to get rid of it. And he was like, I'm going to NXT deadline. What you mean? So she went out there and she got beat anyway. This match wasn't as good as the other one, but it was fairly solid. Indy Hartwell won, defeating Fallon Henley. But she basically did the old garbage, I steal the pen thing from Wendy Chu, which is exactly what happened. So Indy Hartwell, after she won, she was went and confronted Mandy Rose and said that 364 days of the year can be for other people, but this Saturday is going to be hers. And she's going to win that match and be the one to dethrone Mandy Rose. And I was like, yeah, I don't even think you believe that. Nobody believes it. Nobody believes that. But she said it, and therefore it is what it is, as the kids say. It is what it is. So the closing act of the show was, of course, a brawl. But before that, we had a promo segment between Grayson Waller and all of his competitors in the Iron Survivor Challenge. Guys just taking snipes at each other. Grayson Waller called the A-Champ an a-hole, which was interesting. Was good. Carmelo Hayes came across like a baby face here as he was going off on these guys. JD McDonough claimed that Carmelo Hayes had been getting protected his entire time in NXT and said that nobody can protect him on Saturday. Joe Gacy wants everybody to act differently and to misbehave. He wants Axiom to get sent to the hospital by JD McDonough, which was interesting. Axiom says that he analyzed the match and that they must evolve. It says adaptation is his strength. He feels like he has the advantage. He ended up getting called a nerd, which makes everybody laugh because he did have an incredibly nerdy approach to this thing. And he had a boring voice. So it was like, guy explaining textbook shit to you. It was not entertaining at all. It was very dry. He had such a dry performance. And just somebody like, nerd! It was great. Mello, of course, claimed that nobody wants it more than he does, and he's going to win. He absolutely needs to win, doesn't he? He absolutely needs to win, right? Anyway, they brawled to end the show. It was kind of anticlimactic as far as I'm concerned. Of course, that was a brawl that's going to end the show. What else was it going to be? I forgot. We got to do predictions. So we'll do predictions. I always forget when it's a go-home show. I always forget to do predictions. Probably because there was no real, super exciting thing that occurred on this show. But, yeah, we got to do predictions. We'll do them shortly. So, I'm going to skip all the little vignettes for the girls if they were in here. And we're going to go straight to Diamond Mine. So, Julius Creed is at the trainer's office. They was checking out his knee. Found out that he was medically cleared. Then Ivy Nile snitched that he had bad ribs. I want you to check out his ribs. And he was like, my ribs are fine. He's like, no, check out his ribs, please. I'm trying to protect him. So they found out his ribs were swollen. And therefore, he is not medically cleared. And Brutus was not happy. Brutus was very unhappy with Ivy Nile ratting them out as they tried to cover up those bruised ribs. Further in the story, of course, that Ivy Nile doesn't want these guys to fight Indus Sher. Perhaps she doesn't have full confidence in her boys, So it was interesting. So after later in the show, I should say, after that, Sanga and Veer jumped this big muscly black dude by the name of Bronson something or other. I don't know. Was it Jordan Bronson Jordan or something? He's a big dude. He didn't like no bitch. That's for sure. Anyway, Sanga, who was bigger than he was, because Sanga's a big dude, and they took him out, beat him up. Then they declined the Creeds challenge by saying that they only wanted to fight the Creeds if the Creeds were 100%. Since the Creeds are not 100%, they will not fight them. Javier Bernal came out there because he was supposed to be the big black guy's opponent. It didn't work out, so he faked an injury and went to the back, which is pretty funny. The Creeds wanted to fight Indus Sher, but the referees and officials or whatever was holding them back. So I guess the Creeds versus Indus Sher, which was supposed to happen at the pay-per-view, is called off and will be replaced with something else. Okay, sure. I'm not going to hate on this too much. And plus, it's a storyline that makes some sense in terms of Indus Sher and the Creeds could be a pretty good TV main event. Okay. Javier Bernal, since he was mentioned, was backstage dealing with Mackenzie Mitchell, who is a thorn in his side, and he kept saying that he's not scared of anything, as he kept looking over his shoulder, being very paranoid. Mackenzie Mitchell said that he was scared of Sanga and Veer, and he replied that they're afraid of him. At this point, he said he stopped listening to Mackenzie Mitchell because she's anti-big body Javi, and he don't have time for that. So she said, okay, well, we'll ask someone else. And then so she asked Ike Manjiro, who I haven't seen in like 3 months. I haven't seen Ike Manjiro since at least August. So she asked Ike Manjiro what he thought of big body Javi. And he said, oh, he has a big body chicken. And I was like, oh no, big body chicken. I'm like, no. Anyway, so Javier Bernal stormed off because how dare Ike Manjiro call him a chicken. I'm guessing they're going to have a match next week. I'm not looking forward to that. Look, I don't hate Ike Manjiro or anything. I think his theme song is excellent. It makes me feel good. But unfortunately, I don't know if I care enough about him wrestling Javier Bernal. Just don't know if I care. In any event, that's pretty much what occurred there. Was I looking forward to the Creeds versus Indus Sher? Kind of. Hate that they called that one off. That one was not fun. You know what we need to call off? Apollo Crews and Brian Breaker. We either need to call it off or do it at a house show and then just record it. They might as well have fought on that boat because they really frustrated me with this. Apollo Crews joined Brian Breaker on his fishing trip. So he gets on the fishing trip and he's making snide comments saying that he'd never been fishing before. And Brian had to teach him how to hook the worm and all this stuff. And he says, oh, I'm a natural in the ring. I'm a natural with the fishing hook. I'm like, oh, this sucks. This sucks so bad. Then they talked about Brian Breaker stealing Apollo Crews' stand-in moonsault. And Brian again says that every match is a must-win when you're the champion. He sounds stressed out now. That's true. Apollo Crews then starts saying, well, if you stressed out, just give me the belt. And you was like, no, the best man will win. And they shook hands. And Apollo Crews caught a fish, kissed it, and sent it back. And I was like, this is all dumb. Sean is not bringing his best. And I am extremely disappointed in the build up to this Apollo Crews Brian Breaker thing. I do not like it. I do not like this. This is the second or the third straight, maybe fourth straight Brian Breaker feud that has failed to miss the mark because of the booking. It is awful. Let's see. He beat Ciampa. Dolph Ziggler stuff was okay. Then you got the Gacy stuff. It was terrible. The Tyler Bates stuff, which was not great because it was babyface versus babyface. Then it was JD McDonough, which went on too long. And just felt like we were flapping in the breeze. And now it's Apollo Crews. So yeah, I was right. Fourth in a row. Fourth storyline in a row where Brian Breaker is literally doing nothing. It's the second of the four with no fucking heat because he's fighting another babyface. It's like, Jesus Christ. They're sabotaging this fucking kid. He's another one. Like, he hasn't been losing since, Triple H took over. But it's another instance of the Shawn Triple H team not getting the guys that Vince understood. You know, they don't get it. There's no fucking way they would have had Brian Breaker fucking fishing on TV if Vince was in control of this thing. He would not be fucking fishing. I can tell you that much. That would not be happening. All right. They muted the shit out of Brian Breaker's push with this Apollo Crews stuff. And look, I know, like I said, it began a couple of months ago, but they're not doing him no favors with this whole, I'm going to go fishing with my pal and we're going to have a respectable match on Saturday. Like, look, that's not, you're killing the draw for this thing. You know, let this match fucking draw. The best way to do that was to turn Apollo Crews heel. Instead of doing that, we got these assholes fishing. Man, just set the whole boat on fire. Fuck it. Who cares at this point? Moving on. Tony D'Angelo defeated Zion Quinn. What the fuck did Zion Quinn do? Except be big and muscular. I mean, that's one thing that I've noticed on this show. If you're a big guy, you get made to look like a fucking moron on this show. Either you get jumped by another big guy and crushed in the corner. You get ratted out by some very small woman for having bruised ribs. Or you just get plain beat the fuck up. So thankfully, Tony D'Angelo is not that small either. So I don't understand why Tony D'Angelo, who's a heel, was wrestling Zion Quinn, who's a heel. I didn't understand this. And you want to say Tony D'Angelo, oh, he might have been a babyface. Yeah, that's the difference. But no, because Tony D'Angelo got on the microphone after the match and started trash talking Wes Lee, who was a babyface, a super babyface, by the way. Wes Lee came out there, said that he still had some unfinished business with Dijak, and Tony D'Angelo is going to have to wait. And so Tony D'Angelo very smartly, very intelligently said, look, I'm Tony D. I don't wait in no damn lines. Dijak appeared on the screen like goddamn Mussolini and he called Tony D'Angelo a scumbag, then told Wes Lee he was going to finish what he started with him and said he was going to beat them both up. And he gave Tony D'Angelo a choice. Tony D'Angelo actually had a choice whether he was going to get beat up or not by, all he had to do was mind his business. But Tony D'Angelo is not going to mind his business because guess what? He wants to be the North American champion. He wants to get his revenge on Wes Lee. So at this point, I got stupefied again because Stax is standing next to Wes Lee. And I'm thinking, okay, Stax about to just knock him the fuck out. This is about to be great. He got a running push. He pushed him. He pushed him. Bruh, believe me when I tell you, he pushed this man and he bounced off the ropes and pushed him back. I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? Of all the times to not throw a punch. You're that close to the guy where you could have knocked his fucking block off and you just shoved him. Ugh. Dijak, not good. Wes Lee, not good. Tony D'Angelo, very good. Zion Quinn, better than Dijak. Why he's not getting a look, I don't know, man. I don't know what they're doing in NXT. It's just, I don't know what they're doing. I have no idea what they're doing. But at least the match wasn't bad. Tony D'Angelo and Zion Quinn was actually better than it probably should have been. Between two guys with no heat, and they were both heels. Tony D'Angelo is still pretty over. So they hung their hat on that being the interesting thing, is people wanting to see Tony D'Angelo return. And he was pretty good here. He looked like he hadn't missed anything. And Zion Quinn actually didn't look bad either. The promo segment, Tony D'Angelo made some mistakes verbally, but Wes Lee was awful. Dijak keep using the police puns. You're a scumbag. I'm about to come down there and deliver some hard justice. I'm just like, what? I'm going to clean up the streets. I'm like, oh God, what the fuck? Go to hell, man. Claims were made by WWE that while the good fellas was waiting to see who was going to get picked for the Iron Survivor Challenge, they were all standing around backstage in the locker room because they all share a locker room now. And Hank Walker was back there. And Charlie Dempsey walks in, and Hank Walker went over there. You know, good old boy Hank, just a big guy named Hank. That's all he is, security guard guy. And he confronted Charlie Dempsey by saying all he wants is some respect. Like, yeah, look, I may not have had a father in the business like you. I wish I could have, you know, followed in my father's footsteps. So my dad was an electrician or something, some blue collar stuff. His dad's a security guard, electrician, construction worker, plumber, or something, whatever. And said he had to basically blaze his own path. But, you know, those two things don't got nothing to do with each other. He just wants some respect out of Charlie Dempsey. And says that if he got to get in the ring with him to earn it, he'd have no problem with that. To which Charlie Dempsey accepted his challenge. And they had a match in which Charlie Dempsey put him in one of the most gruesome looking STFs I have seen in this business in a while. I don't know when the last time I saw a guy get put in the STF like that, where even I said, yep, that's a submission. That is a submission. There's no good reason for you to ever survive that. And I actually enjoyed this match, even though it was pretty short. Stylistically, it worked. Charlie Dempsey is technical, so he was using like Kimura arm bars and different stuff like that, while Hank Walker is a security guard, so he's a fighting man. He's doing Luthez press with a ton of punches, just a lot of physical big boy offense. Stylistically, it worked. I had no problem with this. Dempsey actually got a little bit of a surprise as Drew Gulak was out there. Drew Gulak came out to watch Charlie Dempsey, and after Dempsey won, he didn't say anything to Dempsey. He just kind of stared at him and walked off. I was like, very interesting. Pretty damn interesting, actually. So a lot of people think that it's probably going to be Charlie Dempsey versus Drew Gulak, but I think it would be nice if it was Charlie Dempsey and Drew Gulak. Drew Gulak was known in Evolve for having a group called Catch Point, which was a group of work rate guys. They did technical wrestling stuff. And he was sort of the leader of that little group. I think Riddle was in it too. I'm not fully watched all of Evolve. I watched enough of it to have a general idea though. So maybe they'll restart the Catch Point thing with Drew Gulak being sort of a mentor to Charlie Dempsey, or they'll just have the match. And I think some people want the match more than the storyline. I want the storyline, not the match. I'm okay with it being dragged out. And maybe Drew Gulak being a rival teacher to like Andre Chase or whatever. That could be fun, you know. Again, I thought that the Thatch Can stuff was fun. I thought that was great. And I think that Charlie Dempsey doing a similar character would work too. But if it's just going to be Drew Gulak wants to wrestle Charlie Dempsey just to test him or whatever, okay, I guess. If that's a E-Fed booking, but you know, go for it. I'm gonna start you saying that now. But if you're going to build a storyline around it where, you know, Charlie Dempsey is you know, he's being coached by Gulak, sort of like they did with Gulak and Danielson, then it could be fun, and I think that could be interesting. I hope they go with the story of Gulak and Dempsey being together, and then them going at each other maybe later on down the line, rather than, well, I'm a main roster talent and I'm not going to spend too much time in NXT, so yeah, we're gonna have a match and I'm going to put you over and that's it, because I don't need that, and I don't think Charlie Dempsey needs it because Drew Gulak doesn't have any credibility, not really. So part of the reason why I want the storyline part is to rehab Drew Gulak and his persona. But it depends on what they're trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish out of this thing. And if William Regal is on his way back, which is what I'm hearing, you know, it's not entirely sure. It's not certain until he actually shows up. But if that's true, then I wonder if we're going to get any crossover between Dempsey and Regal. You know, for those of you who don't know, Charlie Dempsey is William Regal's son. I don't see how you can look at him and not tell, but you know, it's that's who he is. All right, moving on. Scripps wrote another poem. It sucked, and he says that he needs to take out the chosen ones. It was not good, and this Scripps thing is not working out. Hopefully they change his gear, and that he won't look like so much of a bum this time. WWE definitely got to do better. considering they are worth so much more money, that you should not have guys running around with socks on their head and they look like fucking idiots. You don't want that. I mean, just do it right. Spend the money on the gear, please. If he had to buy his own gear, just come on, help the kid out. Give him a break. Give him a real mask that's tight on his face, and some gear that makes sense. I don't want him looking like Axiom. Axiom looks like a mistake. It looks like a complete and total mistake. But then again, putting people in masks in WWE, I don't know. I thought it would help. It's not helping as much as I thought. I thought hiding people's faces would help. But Axiom just comes across as a less demented Kanye West. Moving on, though. Pretty Deadly did a Christmas story, which was excellent. And as gay as you thought it would be. With Elton sitting on Kit's lap. Elton is dressed as Santa Claus. Kit is dressed like an elf. And he sits on his lap and they take turns reading this rhyming Christmas tale. It's ridiculous. It's about bulging sacks. And they refuse gifts from their fans because the fans are filthy, which is great. Kit got upset about Americans calling football soccer. And then they said that nobody can challenge them because no one is better and they've beaten everybody. This was a perfect segue into them getting new challengers. And I was wondering who it was going to be. To my great surprise and to the absolute eruption of the audience, it was the New Day. Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston came down, of course, said, hey, you guys are beating everybody except us. And they volunteered to be their opponents for a deadline. So NXT tag team titles, the New Day versus Pretty Deadly. I like it. It was very good. Booker T was not happy about this. And this was my favorite part of the show because not only was it a great fan reaction, I love Pretty Deadly for starters, even though they're being gay. But they got over a great segment where they got to be silly, which works for them. The New Day got a great surprise. They got an awesome reaction, set up a match that I'm interested in seeing. But then you have Vic Joseph on commentary trying to steal Booker T's gimmick. He's like, shucky ducky. And Booker T's like, oh, hell no. For starters, Booker T still hates New Day. Still. Like, it's been 6 years of Booker T not liking New Day. I mean, it's real on screen and off. Those dudes just don't get along, apparently. But Booker T was not happy to see New Day. He was shitting on them. Then Vic Joseph tried to steal his line. He had to shut that down, too. I thought this was great. Everything about this segment was great. Booker T is great. Vic Joseph, I'm glad he survived all the cuts that they were doing because he's great. And Booker T is Booker T. Booker T is tremendous. All right. I said Isla Dawn defeated Thea Hale, right? I said that already. She was attacked by Alba Fire after the match because this kind of thing always happens. So fight ensues. They just furthered that storyline. Who cares? Lyra Valkyrie said that no more circling her prey. She will be making her debut next week. I think we'll all be looking forward to that. Well, those of us who are familiar with her will be looking forward to that. Everybody else would be like, oh, what's that? Who cares? But all in all, it was a good NXT episode. Had some big surprises. Liked 2 of the matches. I think it was probably too many matches, but I still like 2 of them. It set up some stuff for the future, so it was a go-home show, but it was also a show where they planted some seeds for future angles and future stories. So I like it. Hopefully the New Day thing isn't just a one-shot, and they'll actually be around for a little while. Same thing with the Drew Gulak thing. But let's get into the predictions, where I think I'll probably get into a little bit more. So, as per the usual, NXT Deadline will have 5 matches, which is pretty much the theme of NXT. 5 straight matches on their PLEs, their pay-per-view shows. which is not a lot. But then when you take into account that the two main events are 25 minutes apiece, this show is going to be pretty hefty. I forgot to mention it, but their next pay-per-view was to be Vengeance Day in February. Will actually be on the road. It's actually going to be in Charlotte. So they're actually going to start going around the country, traveling next year. That should be very interesting, should be interesting. But we'll see when we get there. So let's get into our predictions for this show. Match 1, Isla Dawn versus Alba Fire. So they made this match interesting. I feel like they kind of rushing it as far as I'm concerned. We don't even know why Isla Dawn attacked Alba Fire outside of the spirits told me, and that was kind of it. Like, the spirits drove me to do it. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. If the spirits say do it, then do it. Shit, fuck it. To be quite honest, Isla Dawn needs to win. She needs to win because she's only won one match. So Alba Fire has been put in a really shitty position here because she kind of has to do the job, right? So we're going to go with Isla Dawn. Second match on the show, NXT Tag Team Championship, Pretty Deadly versus The New Day. All right, so clearly the New Day should not win the NXT Tag Team titles and should lose to Pretty Deadly. That being said, what do you do with Pretty Deadly if they beat the New Day? Where do you go from here? They probably have to drop the belts to the next team, right? But if they drop the belts to the New Day, even for a short run, then they at least have some opponents to dance with for the future, and they can actually learn a lot more and actually hopefully get over a lot more being contenders for New Day than they would be being the champions and having nobody to wrestle. So this is one of the things that I'm just kind of like, as much as I don't like the idea of New Day succeeding and me being excited about that, I am okay with if it benefits Pretty Deadly, and it could. Having Pretty Deadly chase New Day could be fun. Having Pretty Deadly defeat New Day, then not have an opponent for the next 2 months, that's not fun. If it's going to be Pretty Deadly versus Indu Share, let's put it like that, okay. If it's going to be a thrown together tag team, no. If it's going to be Malik Blade and Idris Enofe, they've already beaten them. The answer is no. If it's going to be Schism, Grizzled Young Veterans, 2/5 of Schism, no. So I don't know. The New Day got a super huge reaction. Maybe you ought to do the Dolph Ziggler thing, and New Day surprisingly wins the belt for a very short run. They draw on TV for a little bit before dropping the belts back to Pretty Deadly in a 2 out of 3 falls match or something. That's kind of how I would do it. So I'm going to go with New Day. It's pretty much, I'm almost certain it's not going to happen, but I'm going to go with New Day. Okay. Third match on the show, Zoe Stark versus Cora Jade versus Roxanne Perez versus Kiana James versus Indy Hartwell in a women's Iron Survivor Challenge. The winner will be the number 1 contender for the NXT Women's Championship. So people have tried to soothe me by saying Nikita Lyons is going to cost Zoe Stark the match. I'm like, I don't care. Everybody in this match is less over than she is. But let's let's go one by one. Kiana James, I think, has the least likelihood of winning. She's a middling, lower mid-card heel. Probably not going to win. Indy Hartwell, she's an also-ran, a veteran. She's probably not going to win. If she would have won the NXT title by now, well, if she was going to win it, she'd have won it by now. Roxanne Perez, I think she's probably the most likely choice to defeat Mandy Rose. So I would think she would probably be one of the better options to win. And it just seems to me like they're going to want a big baby face coming out of this thing. And you only got 2 in this entire damn match, her or Indy. And since Indy ain't winning, it's got to be Roxanne, because you're not going to put another heel against Mandy, are you? You're not going to have Zoe Stark versus Mandy Rose, are you? You're not going to have Cora Jade versus Mandy Rose, are you? Because, why would you want to interfere with Mandy's heat? So it's going to be Roxanne Perez. Now, I think Roxanne Perez is going to win this match and end up winning the title. I think we can all agree with that. It's a roundabout way of getting where I said we were going to go when she won the breakout tournament. But at least we're getting there. You know, they had to go through the whole foolishness of her winning the breakout tournament only to want to be a tag team champion, which was so stupid. It's still frighteningly stupid. But it is what it is. We can brush that under the rug if she wins this match, challenges Mandy Rose, and wins the title. I think that, you know, Roxanne in ring has the stuff. She needs a character, though. And to me, I'm willing to just say she shouldn't even be out here without a character. Being out there without a character is like walking around naked, as far as I'm concerned. You need to put some clothes on, B. She's naked out here in these streets. And she ain't got much to work with. Okay? So you ain't looking at much. But I think that she's probably the best option for winning this match. So I'm going to go with Roxanne Perez. What was this, fourth match? Brian Breaker versus Apollo Crews, NXT Championship. So, it is the right time for Brian Breaker to drop the belt. Now, do I think he should drop it to Apollo Crews? That's a hell of a question. Brian Breaker has gotten really stale as the champion, similar to Bianca Belair, where he's been so de-emphasized, where it's clear that there's almost no interest in booking him appropriately as a champion or him being front and center. Even though he is the champion, he is not the star of the show. And that's just kind of been a thing. Like when Vince was running things, and, you know, I hate to keep bludgeoning Triple H this way, but he made sure that Brian Breaker was front and center. He was always doing something. He always looked cool. He always looked like a badass. The same thing with Bianca. Same thing with like Austin Theory and some of the other guys. Triple H has been playing a little bit more of a pull everything back, you know, build the contenders. But it's like in some instances, the champions aren't really all that over, and you're underexposing your champions. There has to be a balance between the two. In this situation, Apollo Crews is coming off a really weak feud with Grayson Waller that really didn't lead him anywhere. It didn't showcase him in any way. He needed something hot too. And he should have fucking turned heel on Brian Breaker. That's what should have happened. He should have beat the shit out of Brian. And then, you know, we had some heat going into this thing with him being freshly turned and Brian being like, hey, I thought we respected each other, but yada, yada, yada. And, or whatever the case may be. Instead, they've been going fishing. And I'm saying, like, you took in what on paper looks like a Dragon Ball Z fight, and you turned it into some slice of life shit. Like, these two guys are buddies, are going to engage in a friendly game of basketball or something like that. Like, these dudes are about to throw punches at each other's heads. Like, these people are not longtime friends that, you know, they are reluctant to fight each other. This is two guys who, you know, Apollo Crews called out Brian Breaker day one of coming into NXT. This should be some heat. Instead, no, they go fishing together. It's dumb. It's big dumb. But like I said before, the Dolph Ziggler situation revitalized Brian Breaker a little bit because it gave people a break, and it put Brian through something he had to overcome. I think if they were smart, they would turn Apollo Crews heel in this match and have him win the NXT title and carry it for the foreseeable future. But I don't think they're that smart. I don't think they'll do that. It doesn't seem like something that they'll do. It seems like we're stuck with what we're stuck with. So I'm going to go with Brian Breaker being the winner. And nothing major happens on this match to make this match in any way spicy or interesting. They're just going to say, oh, Apollo Crews is just big, boring dude who writes stories to himself or whatever the fuck, and looks into the future or whatever stupid superpower he's got today. And but I think if Apollo Crews loses, he needs to get out of NXT. You got to beat it. I think we all agree with that, right? If he doesn't win, then what's his point in being there? What are you hanging around for? He needs to leave. But here's hopefully they do something smart here, something good. All right, main event: Carmelo Hayes versus JD McDonough versus Grayson Waller versus Joe Gacy versus Axiom. Iron Survivor Challenge, number 1 contender for the NXT Championship. I think everybody's favorite is Carmelo Hayes going into this because, I think people want the 2 top dogs, which have been Carmelo Hayes and Brian Breakker, to go at each other and for the big belt. And you know what? I'm going to go with that too. I think if you look at the process of elimination, Axiom was never going to be the guy. It's never going to happen. He's wearing a stupid mask and a turtleneck shirt. It's never going to happen. Joe Gacy, it's not going to happen. It's not in his character to be the champion. It doesn't make sense for him to be the champion anyway. Great. JD McDonough, if they were going to do it, they'd have done it already. And Grayson Waller, well, while it would make sense for him to be in a title contention, I don't think they think he's ready for it. Again, he's another version of The Miz. He's a guy who can talk himself back into contention, back into heat without, being damaged too badly. So I can see them saying he doesn't need to win. However, Carmelo Hayes is aimless right now. He's doing literally nothing. So he might be able to get away with putting him over in this match in order to help him out, help him maintain his overness and take him to the next level. So I'm going to go with Carmelo Hayes. I think about process of elimination, you can look at the guys who are in this match and say, look, Axiom, Joe Gacy ain't winning. You can forget it. JD McDonough, he ain't winning. I mean, who the hell wants those guys as the main event guy? So it's got to be Carmelo Hayes. So there that goes. I'm going to go with Carmelo Hayes, and I'm going to go with him winning the title versus Brian Breakker. And I think it's necessary. If they go with Apollo Crews winning the belt, and maybe Carmelo Hayes challenges Apollo Crews as a babyface, I still think he needs to get that belt next year. Regardless of whether he wins it from Apollo Crews, which he probably won't, versus Brian Breakker, which he probably will, he needs to be that champion next year. And Brian had a great year. He really did a good job. But it's time to pass the torch, and work on his character and some stuff like that. All right. So that's NXT Deadline. It ought to be a pretty good show, in terms of in-the-ring stuff. It would be nice if we, were able to get spoiled by doing some outside-the-ring stuff, too. They may do some surprise debuts, or they may go back to the whole guys sitting in the crowd stuff for the debuts. But in any event, it's been fun. It's going to be fun. All right. Let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
MagMongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.